Hey guys, it's Amelia. So today I'm going to start with talking about the stretching circle, and I had a request for this video, so thank you for that request. The stretch circle is really a revealing movement, and it tests whether your horse is really supple and through and connected. So you have a stretch circle in training level and also in your first level tests, and it's done at a trot on a 20-meter circle. So basically the biggest thing is that you want to show a difference between your working trot and your stretching trot. So in your working trot, your horse's pole should be up the highest point. And so in the working trot, your horse's pole should be up the highest point, and their nose should be just a little in front of the vertical. So this would be, I would say, a good working trot. And then for the stretch circle, you want your horse to stretch forward and downward. So you want to let your reins get longer. And as you let the reins get longer, you want your horse to seek the contact down and also out. So like as low as you could get your horse to go, and then your hands a little forward towards the horse's mouth to get that nose to poke a little bit out. So what this stretch circle shows is that your horse properly accepts the contact, that they're in balance, that they're elastic and supple through the top line. And then you also need to be able to bring your horse up again, shorten the reins. When you bring your horse up, the trot tempo shouldn't change. They should stay exactly in the same tempo of the trot. And you need to show the judge that you can shorten up the reins, get the pole up again the highest point without having a bobble or that your horse argues about letting you shorten the reins. So I'm going to show you here. Let's pretend I have in my test B 20-meter circle stretching. So he's up, his pole's really high. Now I'm going to start my stretch circle, and I need to get him stretching as soon as possible so that I can really show off to the judge that my horse really can stretch that neck down and also his nose out. And then before B, I've got to take up those reins again, get his pole up the highest point, and continue. So I'll change direction and show you the stretch circle once the other way. But so if your horse doesn't stretch down, that tells you that the connection and the throughness isn't really proper. Boy. Good boy. So when you go to let the reins out and get your horse to stretch, if your horse doesn't stretch, so let's say I let the reins out and my horse just stays here and he doesn't take the contact and he doesn't take his nose down and out. Sometimes what I do is I take my hand a little wide so that I can feel each corner of his mouth. I put a little inside leg on him. I bend him maybe a little over bend, a stride or two, and then I try to give that rein and push my hands forward and get him to seek that contact down and out. This movement is more natural for some horses than for other horses, but it's really important that you teach your horse to properly stretch so that they can swing and properly be using their top line. So I'll show you again, like even with this horse who's pretty advanced and confirmed with this, but when I have him up the highest point and I have him up with his pole the highest point, he has a nice trot, he's swinging, but when I ask him to stretch down, you can see he gets even a little more swing, a little more loft through his top line and through his stride. And so that's why it's good to really perfect this stretch circle. So some of the common mistakes you'll have when your horse stretches, one of the most common ones is that when you give your rein, your horse tries to speed up. So if that happens, you have to really regulate the tempo with your posting. Don't let yourself post faster just because your horse posts faster. One of the other mistakes that this horse does a little bit is, hey, keep going. When you go to stretch them, they'll kind of keep that nose in, so they'll kind of lower the neck, but they'll be still here behind the vertical. I'm exaggerating it. So if that happens, you've got to get where you can push your hands forward with them keeping the contact to try to get that nose to poke out. So this is a correct stretch here. I'll show you the incorrect again. If they just kind of drop the neck but the nose is still really in. I'll show you perpendicular to the camera. So this is not a correct stretch because he's just curled behind. That's a correct stretch. His neck down and his nose out. Oh boy. And that same frame of stretching is also what you want for your free walk. They want to see that the neck goes down and out, like to a 45-degree angle to the ground. So your horse really releases that neck down and shows the judge, one is relaxation, because to get the neck down, they have to be relaxed, and also that they properly accept the contact. Boy, Ludo. But the stretch circle is really important to practice. It's often a coefficient, and it's really a telling movement for the judge for how correct your horse is. And then he's actually really good at stretching. It's like his favorite part. So this is also really important to teach your young horses, that they stretch that neck down and the nose out. And you can see how when I stretch him down, he starts to swing a little bit more through his back and through his top line. Good. So, good boy. So that's just kind of what I'm working on with this 4-year-old.